Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
I have some breaking news.
Breaking news? Let's hear it on this Big Chiefs Hire
According
Monday.
to Demetrius Harvey, Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson confirmed that Trevor Lawrence will be the starting quarterback.
Apparently, there are some people out there that, because they've seen Mac Jones dazzle them, they believe that Mac may take the starting job away from Trevor Lawrence. I know Jaguars today had this conversation, and we'll certainly, I guess, have to have this conversation. I didn't think we'd have to. Since you mentioned Demetrius, he put out a tweet Saturday night jokingly saying Mac has more yards and touchdowns than Trevor in the preseason. Okay, of course he does, because he's had more playing time, and he was, like I said, he was joking.
People Jones took it very seriously.
Of course they did. Mac Jones is a really good backup quarterback. Like, I think one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league from what we've seen him do in the preseason to this point, also what we've seen him do at training camp practices. But there are very few people on the face of the planet that have the talent that Trevor Lawrence has. And, oh, yeah, by the way, the Jags paid him as well. But that, to me, is secondary. Yes, that matters. He's your long-term franchise quarterback. But as far as on the field, the money doesn't affect it. Trevor Lawrence is one of the best quarterbacks in all of the National Football League. And I understand that stats don't go along with that. Fine. I watch the games.
Yes.
I've seen every play he's ever had in the NFL, and I usually go back and rewatch a lot of the games as well, because the broadcast will show something different than the press box does. Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 quarterback, and Mac Jones, the league evaluated him and said, we're not willing to even make you a starter somewhere else. Yeah. So therefore, Mac Jones is now the backup here.
And that's what's wild to me, Lauren, is some people are defending and saying, oh, no way. They just paid Trevor. That's why. No, that's not why. It's because Trevor Lawrence is light years away from where Mac Jones is as a quarterback in the NFL. And it's just hilarious to me. Some of the comments, and I knew it. Watching that game, I tweeted, I was like, now we're about to say there's quarterback controversy, because that's just how people jump to things, and it's just wild. But it was funny, too, because I tweeted that talking about the Jags, and then immediately Bears fans were like, yeah, Tyson Bagent over Caleb Williams. I was like, both of the worlds you guys live in, I don't know I don't know where
it's
you
not
came
rational.
From. No.
And I understand that fans aren't always rational, but I have a feeling that anyone that has doubts about Trevor Lawrence, those will be put to bed this season.
Very quickly.
I understand his rookie year didn't go according to plan. We all know the situation here with the head coach. But now in his third season under Doug Peterson with Press Taylor as well, and the weapons that they have around him, we were talking about this with Dempsey before we came on air, Taylor. Brian Thomas Jr. is wide open sometimes. Yeah. I mean, this cat gets such separation. Like, exactly. And so, I mean, he's going to be so much fun to watch. And Trevor hasn't had guys like that. He's had good, talented receivers around him, but not guys with that kind of speed.
Yeah, and to your point, it's the box score people drive me absolutely insane. Like, look at his passer rating. Look at these numbers. I'm great. Like, that's great. I'm glad he had 120 passer rating against a fourth string defense. That does not mean we need to bench Trevor Lawrence and put him.
Mia, we started the show, of course, talking about Trevor v. Max, and some people believe that Mac Jones should be the starting quarterback in Jacksonville.
I was actually pleasantly surprised. I didn't think it was as bad as I anticipated on the internet the last 48 hours. I mean, look, I'll be the first to admit, I'm not dumb. I take a video of Mac Jones warming up. I know that's going to do clicks. I'm not dumb. I know his name is one of the more searched names on TikTok. And it really was all positive, like, hey, he's going to be a great backup to Trevor, which I didn't necessarily expect. I expected either New England Patriots fans still upset about Mac Jones, or I expected Jaguar fans saying, oh, he's better than 16. And we didn't get as much of that on the 1010XL channels as I anticipated.
Well, that's good. That means that people are smarter than we think, or at least that segment of the population. But let's get to the actual game. The Jaguars did defeat the Bucs, so we have a preseason victory Monday yet again. 20-7 was the final score. Look, you talked about this, Taylor, with Mike. Tank Bigsby, I think people are finally starting to not talk about last year as much, and they're starting to talk about the potential that he has for this season.
Yeah, and I think that we have, and that's why I'm glad that Tank has looked the way he has in the preseason games, because it's also showing people, okay, this is for real. Like, this is somebody we should be talking about. This looks like it's going to be a major piece of the offense, which is what I think people are expecting quickly last season, and it didn't obviously pan out that way. But it looks like now he is going to be able to be that guy that's getting that short down yardage. He's more of he just runs through people. And I feel like it's been a bit since we've had a running back like that. We could talk about Leonard Fournette, and probably the last one that we've seen be able to just roll over people.
Yeah, he's in the top 20 of almost every PFF metric right now. And I know it's preseason. I know it's only been 2 weeks, 2 games. But the only negative right now on him, and this is pretty much a negative across the board that I'm seeing in the numbers right now from the past weekend combined with the first week, is in pass protection, which is an area of any running back's game that it takes a couple years for them to continue to learn. If anything, the team felt like they saw flashes in pass protection from Tank in the second half of last year in his limited action. That it says to me that they do expect him to take another step forward. Yes, there was one clear and obvious situation on Saturday in which he missed his guy. But outside of that, I was pretty impressed with that aspect of his game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy that opposing defenses are going to have to worry about him this season, whereas before it was just Travis Etienne. If you can stop Etienne, then you can stop the Jags' running game. I don't think that's going to be the case this upcoming season. And another guy to me that stood out is Parker Washington. And certainly these year 2 guys are going to play such a critical role if the Jaguars are going to make it to the postseason and beyond.
Yeah, it's been so much fun to watch Parker, and like just the development that we've seen even over weeks. Like within 3 weeks of talking about Parker being like, there was a lot of people making the jokes about Cephas. Okay, what happened? That Cephas kind of talk went down very quickly, and I'm like, because a guy like Parker Washington, who you saw last year in moments when he had to step into a really big role, and we've talked about that, now looks like this season he could step into that role and be really successful. So I honestly think it was beneficial last year. He got thrown into some things, and sometimes you learn best when you're thrown into the fire, and it seemed like that helped Parker a lot towards the end of last season.
And I think what we're forgetting is that Parker Washington, number one, had one of the best, and when I say drop rate, you're going to panic and that means he has drops. No, I mean, he never dropped the ball at Penn State. He also provided them inside-outside flexibility that I think, unfortunately, even with the success he's had, he will be typecasted as, well, he's a slot receiver and you already have Christian Kirk and he fills that void. I'm not so sure about that. And we'll listen to Parker in the locker room a little bit later in today's program, because he was pretty open and he had this big smile on his face when I asked about the opportunity ahead for him to not just be, he's 5'11", he's got to play, or 5'9", or whatever he is.
He's got to be in the slot.
He's got to be in the slot.
Yeah.
He understands that what he showcased at Penn State, being able to play multiple wide receiver positions, is something that the Jaguars paid attention to. And as they continue to, wait for it, onboard him and perhaps give him more opportunities, I believe that will be something that you will see from him. And I know it's something he's very excited for.
Has Tim Jones lost his spot on this roster?
I don't think so. I think, again, and we don't know
so
what.
You think they'll keep 7?
We don't know what goes into the evaluation, right? We don't know what the coaches are thinking, what the front office staff is thinking, what special teams coordinator Heath Farwell is saying, and who he's banging the table for. Because Tim, there's no doubt, has been a core 4 special teams guy for this team over the past 2 years. Now, I say that, and did you guys notice who was one of the gunners to begin the game on Saturday? One Elijah Cooks.
Yeah, Elijah played a lot of special teams. But he also had the penalty on one of the special teams plays as well.
And he also had a clear and obvious drop. And yes, there was another ball that Mac Jones certainly missed him on, and he was wide open. So not necessarily the best day at the office for 14, and I tweeted as such. But the fact that he was given an opportunity to run with the first team special teams unit, certainly you can make the argument, well, they know what they have in Tim Jones. But you also make the argument of they want to see what they have from Elijah Cooks, because whoever that 6 wide receiver is, look, they're probably going to be inactive on game day. That's just the way it goes. But if they are active, they're going to need to also contribute there, because they're probably not going to contribute in the offense, in the passing game, as much as perhaps some people think.
If I was Elijah, I would have gone to Heath Farwell and said, please get me in the mix for special teams, because I do understand that that's the difference between me making the 53 and potentially not. And look, Elijah, I thought, to your point, Mia, had some opportunities in that game and didn't necessarily take advantage of them. And at this point in time, do they keep 6 receivers? Do they keep 7? I don't know. But I will say, after watching the offensive line and some of the dismal performances that we saw out of some of those guys on Saturday night, that makes me think that they're going to keep 10 offensive linemen, not 9, because you don't really, know as far as injuries, of course, are concerned, but also which guys are going to play best where. That's where I was surprised to see when we had the the second team offensive line, the left guard in there was Tyler Shatley. I thought that would have been Blake Hance based off of what we've seen. And so certainly they're still mixing things up. But like I said, I'll expect 10 offensive linemen.
Yeah. Shatley had a big oops early. I was
Yes,
like,
Shatley
oh,
did.
poor Shat.
And if you go down the line, look, I mean, there were a lot of reasons for the sacks in the second half, and I don't want to put it all on the offensive line. Just like anything with football, it has to be 11 guys working in perfect poetry together. The only two clear and obvious, in my estimation, that you say, ooh, that's on a specific offensive lineman. The one, by Shatley, and then Cooper Hodges in the second half, where he went running up to CJ Beathard. It was like, my bad, dog, my bad. So those are the only two that you look at and you're like, okay, that's certainly on somebody missing. But we mentioned already, Tank Bigsby missed somebody in his pass blocking, pass protection. Sorry, words hard. Mac Jones flushed from the pocket. So therefore, that says to me that, well, yes, there were certain missteps. There was a lot going into it. And again, you're rotating so many guys in. We've talked so much about the defense and how many guys they're rotating in consistently. They're doing the same thing on offense at this juncture because it's the preseason.
Yeah, and Mac Jones also sacked himself at one point. He trips over his own feet, which I think there could be a whole highlight reel of Mac Jones doing that. But
you love that as a defensive player because all you have to do is tap him, and that's a sack.
Down. And he did. He touched his head.
That's a sack. You'll take that all day.
But Coach Campo, when he was doing crosstalk with us last week, said, "I want to start seeing some consistency in these guys, like who is going to be on your defensive line and who's going to be starting on your offensive line, because we're less than a month away from the first game, and you want to get these guys in some sort of rhythm to start playing with each other. So it is concerning that they're still having to mix so many things around to try and figure out what works. Hopefully by preseason 3, we're seeing a little bit more consistency in that.
Yeah, and since you mentioned that, this Friday night, the Jags take on the Falcons up in Atlanta, and the starters are expected to play around a half. That's what Doug Peterson said when he met with media a little bit ago. And so that's, I think, way more exciting for fans. I was very impressed that there were a lot of fans, Mia, that stayed till the very end of that game Saturday night.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there were some media members that wanted to stay until the bitter end of that game, Lauren, even if you did see some guys who will be in the rotation in several position groups that were still out there at that juncture.
You would have missed the wave if you didn't stay for the whole game.
Yeah, the wave was pretty epic. The play-by-play provided on social by both media members and fans alike was also great. But yeah, no, I think what'll be curious, and that's why I'm great we're segueing, Lauren, into Falcons Week, given who's going to be joining us in the next 7 minutes. That is one Luke Hetrick of WSB TV up in Atlanta. Given the situation up there in Atlanta and this argument of, well, Michael Penix has already showed us everything we need to know, so therefore we're not going to play him, even though the expectation is he's not going to be playing the first month of the season. Let's take the quarterback position out of it. If you're Doug Peterson, if you know, I don't know, let's just say Tyler Lacey, right? Second-year guy. They've been really impressed with his development. Probably not going to be starting week 1, but will be a rotational piece for you. I understand the position is different between defensive tackle and quarterback, but you're telling me that you've seen enough, well, he's on the roster probably, I think, so therefore I don't need to see.
Wild comment.
It's a fascinating conversation at the macro level, Taylor, because when we talk about the idea of what is the preseason good for, do you need preseason games? In the situation of Michael Penix, or even how many young first-year players we saw for the Jags out there on Saturday.
Those are what those games are created for.
You need, even if you know Parker Washington, right? Yeah. Even if you know he's going to make your roster, you still need to trot him out there. Yeah. This gives him the opportunity. You see what he looks like under the bright lights of having the bulk of the catches.
I almost feel like they don't want their fan base to get excited because they're like, well, they're going to start shouting for Michael Penix really quick.
That is a theory that's been floated around there. I know the boys of Jaguars today hit on it a little bit. I don't know if it's that, Lauren. I don't know.
I just think Cousins might not be healthy.
And so you think Michael Penix is going to start week 1?
They don't want to run the risk of him getting hurt. I need that for my dynasty league. Yeah. All right. So when we come back, like you said, Luke Hetrick will join us. We will talk Jags-Falcons since that is the game this Friday night. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday, and Big Chief Tire, congrats to them. They were voted best tire shop in Jacksonville for the 5th year in a row for the Community Choice Awards. You can visit them at bigchieftire.com. I'm going to have to go see them soon because my brakes are starting to squeak. So that's always fun. All right. We'll be back on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Gators. Subscribe to the 1010XL Gators YouTube channel. Up-to-the-minute updates, instant reaction from Gainesville, plus the same 1010XL Gators podcast you've grown to know. And check out 1010XL Gators on YouTube.
Now, the Florida State Seminole Report, brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team.
Florida State guard Jameer Watkins will participate in the 2024 Nike Basketball Academy. He was an All-ACC honorable mention selection as a junior and enters the 2024-25 season looking to build on his streak of 19 consecutive double-figure scoring games. Watkins was ranked in the ACC's top 20 for both scoring and rebounding last year. I'm RJ Saunders with your Ag Pro Seminole Report.
AgPro has been family-owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. If you are looking to grow your career, Chick-fil-A restaurants are hiring and looking for folks to join their team right now. Chick-fil-A Jacksonville area restaurants are offering flexible hours, scholarship opportunities, and leadership development, just to name a few. You can find a friendly work environment with competitive pay and have fun at work with opportunities to serve your community. With locations all around Jacksonville, apply online or in person today at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Chelsea here. Summer is winding down, and so are prices at the Renewal by Andersen end of summer window and door sale. Upgrade your home with custom Fibrix windows and doors. Whether you need custom energy efficient, hurricane resistant windows, or a stylish patio door, we've got you covered. A better way to a better window. Visit us at bestwindowsflorida.com for details. Transform your home before fall with the end of summer sale. Proud partner of the Florida Gators. License number CGC 1527613.
Denny Thompson here. If you want to work with new tech security cameras or home automation, Tyson Sound & Security is a growing company looking for you now. Tyson is now hiring for sales, technician, and administrative positions. You'll start at the industry's most competitive pay, and they will train you. Apply online at TysonSoundandSecurity.com or call 762-1000. Tyson Sound & Security hiring sales, technicians, and administrative. Call 762-1000. Equal opportunity employer.
I'm Hacker. Get more Gators on the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Wednesday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gator Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Daytona always brings the drama.
Everything's on the line. The risk will be higher.
3 wide.
Look how insane this is.
Gunning to keep playoff hopes alive. It's now or never.
It's the most stressful night of racing that you'll ever go through.
For an unforgettable weekend of family fun, high wattage star power, and a front row seat full of fireworks. NASCAR weekend at Daytona International Speedway, August 23rd and 24th. Get your tickets now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Get your athletes game day ready with Injury Care Centers. Kick off the upcoming sports season with their $69 Peak Performance Physical. It identifies strengths and weaknesses in muscles and body mechanics, tapping into the power of AI technology. Help your athlete run faster, throw harder, and jump higher at Injury Care Centers. Elevate their game from the inside out. Call Injury Care Centers today, 904-783-0008. That's 904-783-0008.
This summer, beat the heat at Best Bet, your premier poker destination. Whether you're a seasoned poker pro or a first-time card player, you'll find a cool retreat from the summer heat with thrilling poker games, big payouts, and refreshing drinks. Join us for an unforgettable experience. Cool off and cash in at Best Bet. The stakes are high, the cards are hot, and your chance for fun is guaranteed. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com.
I'm Ben from Beard's Diamonds. My father and I buy our stones direct from the diamond cutters. No middleman, no big company overhead, no commission salespeople, and we pass the savings on to you. Before you buy anywhere else, remember, Beard's Diamonds will beat any competitor's price.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Our next guest knows what's coming. He knows what's coming because, of course, RJ Saunders, always on top of it here at 1010XL World Headquarters, calls our next guest on the Garber Auto Mall hotline a little bit early. Luke Hetrick of WSB TV, please let the folks at home know, where are you at this juncture?
Ma'am, I have a question and then a request, but I'll save the request for the end. But right now, I'm just leaving the gym. Wanted to be refreshed, energized for a segment with the Holy Trinity ladies today. So I'm good to go. I'm ready for y'all. Bring it on.
It's look, with training camp breaking, and now we can actually work out in the mornings. I feel this on an emotional and spiritual level, Luke.
Absolutely. And you know what? I owe you so much props because I've gone out to training camp, a handful of times. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, so hot. And then I look around, and I'm in Georgia, and I'm not in Florida. And I know you have it worse. And you're just built different, as the youth say down there. And you guys are doing it at a high level.
Yeah, Kara O'Brien didn't believe me when I told her I went for a run this morning and my lungs hurt. She's like, no, I heard it was low humidity. You should be fine for my wedding this weekend. And I'm like, no, sis, it's pain.
I was going to say, Kara O'Brien is in a different state of mind right now. So,
Yeah,
understandable.
We give her the pass on a lot of things. All right, enough on my family, enough on the gym workouts of both myself and Luke Hetrick. Luke, let's cut right to the chase. You've been covering the Falcons for the past 3.5 weeks of training camp.
Yes.
Walk us through the quarterback, quote-unquote, battle. Who's there, and why did Michael Penix not play on Saturday?
Well, I'll start with the last question first, because Raheem Morris went to the school of Sean McVay preseason philosophy where preseason games don't exist. You don't play your starters in the preseason. They wanted to get him at least one rep. They did in the first game against the Dolphins. He was 9 of 14, had some down-the-field throws, looked pretty good. But Raheem Morris is all about, let's make sure this is in a controlled environment. Remember, too, in those joint practices with Miami, their first round of joint practices, they lost Rondale Moore for the season. So, and in that first preseason game, they had injuries to their third-round pick, Braylon Trice, who was supposed to be a really key piece coming off the edge, which, enhanced their ability to go get Matthew Judon. Then you lose DeMarco Hellams, the guy that was battling for one of those starting safety spots with Richie Grant, and then lo and behold, here comes Justin Simmons. So this is very much we don't want anyone else to get injured. Kirk Cousins is still working his way back. He's taking meaningful reps in practice, but he hasn't gotten hit yet. And we still don't know. Now, he's cleared, but a lot of this is in a controlled environment for him. So why risk it with a guy that, yes, everyone is saying is going to be your future in 2 to 3 years, but there's a very good chance, and I'm not banking on anything, but if Kirk's not ready to go or Kirk's not 100%, Michael Penix is going to play. So let's protect not just our asset at the quarterback position.
I was saying kind of jokingly earlier because I did my dynasty draft earlier, and Michael Penix is one of my quarterbacks. So I am completely fine if Kirk isn't quite ready and we get to see a little bit of Penix. Tell us a little bit about that wide receiver room and how they're looking so far. I'm a big Drake London fan. Also love Darnell Mooney. But as a whole, what is the group looking like?
Yeah, the group is still very much a work in progress just in terms of what it's going to look like in terms of play design. Drake London kind of had to be everything last year. He had to be a guy in the quick game. He had to be a guy over the middle on down the field throws because they were playing a lot of 12 personnel at times last year. They had a lot of packages where it was just one receiver, multiple running backs, multiple tight ends. There was just not a lot of depth in that receiver room because it dropped off after Drake London to a Matt Collins at times, a Van Jefferson. I mean, we're talking about guys that are your fourth, fifth best receivers had to slide into that number 2 spot. So it was a revolving door. This year, Drake has been freed up to be more of what Drake wants to be, and that's a down-the-field, big play guy. And then you're able to use what was in theory supposed to be a Rondale Moore, but now maybe a Ray McLeod, maybe someone like that, a Jakeem Grant, whoever, in a quick game, and now have a Darnell Mooney, another deep ball threat. So the wide receiver room is still developing. They have a guy in Ike Hilliard who's very familiar in the Florida realm. He is all about developing this group, and he probably said it best to me in the season. When we talked in the offseason, it was, the quarterback does the job 50% of the time. His job is to get the ball out, and then his job is done. Your job is to go get it. And at this point, he felt they weren't ready to complete the job, and that was all the way back in June. He feels very confident about where they're at now. And a guy to watch for the Falcons team is 6th-round pick Casey Washington. Been someone that's emerged in camp, had some good showings in the preseason. He's going to be a guy with some injuries already being a concern in that room that could be elevated very quickly to a larger role.
Luke, tell us about the Falcons offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, and the style that he'll bring with the Falcons.
I think it looks very similar to what you saw from what Kirk Cousins did in Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell, a guy from the McVay tree, same with Zach Robinson. Raheem and him worked obviously very closely in LA, and Raheem is a guy that puts a lot of trust in his coordinators. He understands the value of offense. He knows his side of the ball. He has addressed that and then some, and he has found a young emerging mind in Zach Robinson who very much vibes with what Kirk Cousins' strengths are with Kirk's philosophy, and the same with Michael Penix, and they have developed him very well, and it's paired nicely with TJ Yates as a quarterback coach. So the offense, I think, is going to look a lot more multiple. I think what you're going to see really for what a lot of fantasy owners are concerned with is how Bijan Robinson is used. I don't know if he's a guy that cracks 1,000 yards rushing, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you could see this guy really being used more in an Alvin Kamara role, which I know Falcons fans don't want to hear any comparisons to the Saints, but a guy that is, maybe a 60-40 rush receiver threat, because they do have Tyler Algier, who they really like in between the tackles. And then we've seen Jace McClellan have a really nice camp so far. So I think Bijan's the guy that's just going to be that ultimate weapon. I don't know how much the rushing yardage is going to go through the roof because they'll be able to split carries, but you're going to see the McCaffrey type use in terms of the, options out of the backfield or running him on that wide zone, which was a staple of what they did under Arthur Smith and is something that they want to continue doing to an extent with Zach Robinson in this offense.
You can find Luke on X at LH Sports TV. He is an anchor reporter in the sports department at WSB TV up in Atlanta. Let's flip on over to the defensive side of the ball quickly here, Luke. You referenced Braylon Trice's ACL tear. You referenced the 2 acquisitions the Falcons made last week, Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons coming to the ATL. Have you guys been able to see them at all on the practice field? / what is the conversation regarding what those 2 players can bring? And obviously one of those moves made following the promising rookie's injury.
Well, today would be day one to see him up there, and I have opted to have this conversation with you rather than be up there. No,
How kind of you. I know. It's all good.
No, I'm not up there. But the impact, this would be their first day. Judon brought in earlier last week. The Simmons deal went down at the end of the week. But these are guys that are game-changing. And I think with Falcons fans, this has calmed all of their nerves and concerns on paper. Because you go back to the draft, Mia and Taylor, we talked about this shortly after that. The concern among Falcons fans still, even after drafting Michael Penix, which now at this point makes even more sense than it ever has before, and people understand it, was what are we going to do with edge rusher? We need another defensive back. Do we really feel good about where things are with that corner spot alongside A.J. Terrell? Do we feel good about Richie Grant, DeMarco Hellams, how that battle takes place? Those were the questions you had. And now, pretty much all of them, with the exception of the other cornerback spot, has been taken care of. You get upgrades in the secondary and at edge rusher. Matthew Judon's a guy that immediately brings credibility off the edge. Raheem Morris last year, what he was able to do in L.A. with a slew of injuries and constantly plugging in third and fourth round rookies into different spots and having an effective defense. And now he can go do that with star power. You already have Jesse Bates, who was fantastic last year, 6 interceptions, was a game changer on defense. Grady Jarrett comes back from an ACL. And what Justin Simmons allows you to do with a Jesse Bates, Bates is a guy that loves to roam. And last year under Ryan Nielsen, and you guys have seen this already, they love man-to-man. And there were a lot of times where Jesse Bates would roam to go make a play. It would leave another safety on an island, and they just weren't good enough at that other safety spot to take care of the deep ball. So you saw in that Tennessee game, Will Levis was burning them deep consistently over the top. It happened with Mike Evans a couple times against the Saints. Now you have a safety that you can depend on to take care of the back, let Jesse Bates roam. With Matthew Judon, you have a bona fide edge rusher. You can continue to develop a Braylon Trice when he comes back next year in his true rookie year. An Arnold Ebiketie, squeeze whatever you can out of him this year. Lorenzo Carter was very productive last year as well. So there is enough depth and talent. But now you have superstars at 2 different positions. And really the secondary has been such a weak spot for this defense historically. Now you have 2 great safeties that will play off each other really well. This is a huge, huge upgrade for that defense.
Luke, what is this weekend looking like? Doug Peterson spoke to media today saying that he'd love to get 2 quarters out of the starters here. How much of the starters are we seeing from the Falcons?
You're not going to see the starters. I mean, Raheem hasn't come out and said that, but the fact that Michael Penix is already done, you're not going to see a Kirk Cousins or anything like that. That was a conversation that happened early in camp, and it was pretty funny the way it went down. Raheem spoke obviously before practice, one of the first days of camp. Kirk spoke afterwards. Raheem was asked about Kirk playing in the preseason, said we haven't decided yet. Kirk comes out afterwards and said, "Oh, Raheem already told me no." So, it was a laughing moment of, okay, that's a communication blunder from the Falcons. But they weren't going to play. And you haven't seen Drake. You haven't seen Bijan. You haven't seen any of these guys like that. They will get these meaningful camp reps. You saw it in the joint practice. But this third preseason game, you're not going to see him at all. And looking at the way the Falcons' schedule shapes up to start the season is brutal, their first 3 games. Home against Pittsburgh, against a very good defense. Then it's on the road on Monday night at Philly, and then Kansas City on a Sunday night game. So you're not going to want to kick the tires on any of these guys before you have to.
Well, we won't learn a lot then for the Jags starters playing the backups, but that's all right. Luke, we really appreciate you joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much. And Mia, a request from you.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Okay. So, actually, my first question. What color are you wearing today? Is it Buccaneer red? Is it pewter?
No, this is definitively pink today. Continue. Next question.
No, I just want to make sure. My other question was, I got an idea using Terrence the Trash Tiger.
Okay.
If the Jags win the division, can we have a faux Pelini moment where he brought out the cat from the tunnel a few years ago at Nebraska? Can we get that with Doug and Terrence? For the first playoff
Like he
game.
lifts him up like the Lion King?
Yes, and just walks out holding the cat. Do you think we can get that? Do you think Terrence would cooperate?
Terrence believes, this is my cat for those of you who are unfamiliar, he does believe he is an apex predator, and he is one of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So therefore, yes, I believe we could make this work, Luke. I love the idea. I'm going to bring it to Doug's attention, and God help us, we better be seeing that come January.
Just make sure you get the handler/dad to sign off on it first.
Yes, we have to invest in a new carrier for Terrence before he makes the drive to Everbank Stadium. Luke Hetrick of WSB up in Atlanta. Always great to catch up with you, my friend.
Thank you so much, everyone. Talk to you soon.
There he goes, fresh off a gym sesh, headed out to Falcons practice later this week, the one, the only Luke Hetrick. The fun continues on this Big Chief Tire Monday here on Helmets and Heels. Jacob Rudner going to join us next, talk a little Gators as well. You are listening to 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
At Hodges Mazda, what Mazda moves you? Find out. Lauren Brooks here. Come test drive the Mazda CX-90, engineered to fit your lifestyle. Take advantage of 1.9% APR for up to 72 months on a 2024 Mazda CX-90, the largest 3-row SUV that Mazda offers. Our professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interest first, and you'll get 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com to discover the Hodges Mazda difference. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expire September 3rd, 2024.
Mia here. Are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using MyBookie Sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device, no app needed. Just sign up at MyBookie.com and you're ready to rock. Whether you're rooting for your alma mater or your favorite team, there's no better way to experience the season than having action on the games. When you know your team well, it's an easy way to take advantage of props like team win totals or early picks for playoff contention. Last year, MyBookie had some of the best odds on the market for the Wolverines to win the national championship, and Michigan bettors who backed their squad saw a 10 times return on their wager. These types of bets highlight why it's worth it to lay an investment before the season begins. Lock your futures in now while you're waiting for the season to begin, and use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus up to $1,000 on that first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to start the season with house money. Don't ever miss out on the action. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, you have told us about buying better quality diamonds, but is there any way to start with a smaller diamond and use it to trade up to a larger diamond later on?
Frank, it's interesting you'd ask that because our founder, H.F. Underwood, popularized growing your diamond here in Jacksonville about 50 years ago, and it's something we still do today. When a customer buys an Underwood engagement ring or solitaire diamond pendant or a pair of ear studs, we guarantee they get the price they paid for it on the purchase of any larger diamond. Now, a lot of stores would say, big deal. We do that too, but here's the Underwood difference. We guarantee you get what you paid when you trade in your Underwood diamond, even if you're trading up by only $1. It's not that you have to trade up 2 for 1 like most jewelers ask. There have been literally thousands of people in the Jacksonville area who have taken advantage of our policy, and Underwood still grows a lot of diamonds for a lot of people.
Underwood, serving excellence since 1928. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
If you're an experienced, skilled plumber or welder that's MedGas certified and you're tired of working for a company that just doesn't treat you right, Local 234 is the place for you. Their pay is the best in the business. You'll walk away with $35.09 an hour in your pocket. With benefits, that's just over $50 an hour. Local 234 has been around since 1901, and that means something. Visit UA234.com to send your resume. Local 234. Make the right connection.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On August 19th, 1921, Detroit Tiger Ty Cobb is the 4th player and youngest to reach 3,000 hits at the age of 34, as well as achieving it in the least amount of games played.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida, and don't let the state decide your fate.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically, if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
Certainly facing challenging economic times. I can't speak for all of us. But for me, comforting to know my money is in good hands with ITP Partners. Ticket here for ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville months. I'll admit it, I don't understand a ton about the economy. Higher interest rates, 401ks, but I do know as I move closer to retirement, I continue to watch my money grow. Thanks to Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, and Reed Wingate. Get in the game, guys. ITP Partners, always there to help. For more info, Chris at ITPPartners.com or call 904-312-9751.
Hey, David again with Royal Pest Services. TAP Insulation stands for thermal, acoustic, and pest control. Keep your home cool, noise out, and pests dead. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free inspection.
Picking here for Bound 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bound 9. Visit Bound 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bound 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
This is Dr. Steve Crenshaw, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jags walked away with their second preseason win against the Bucs, 20-7 Saturday night. Backup QB Mac Jones helped secure the win after playing the entire first half and then coming back into the game in the fourth quarter. Head coach Doug Peterson spoke post-game on Mac's performance.
Well, we knew two quarterbacks that once Mac was done, he'd have to stay ready in the second half. That's always a given. But I thought overall Mac played a solid football game. He was obviously into it. You saw his intensity out there, made some great throws, just led the team like expected. And then for him to come back off the bench, late in the game to throw that touchdown pass to Brevin, he loves playing. He loves playing the game. He did some great things tonight and helped us win this game.
Sound courtesy of Jaguars.com. I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars Update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, I'm Lauren Brooks. RJ Saunders is here as well, and we are joined now by Jacob Rudner to talk all about the Florida Gator football program. But Jacob, I just have to say congratulations to your colleague, Nick De La Torre. He and his wife welcomed their first baby, Frankie Juliet, over the weekend, so I wanted to say congrats to him.
Yeah, congratulations to Nick, and I'm glad to steal his thunder a little bit here and join you guys.
Of course. All right. So let's get it to, by the way, Jacob does a great job also covering Florida baseball. But right now, of course, we're going to talk football. Jacob, when it comes to the football program as a whole, we know that there's a ton of pressure on Billy Napier. We know that he's on a hot seat of sorts. But we also know that the program, it seems, is heading in the right direction as far as the recruiting and certainly some guys coming in from the transfer portal as well. So just big picture, do you think the players are much better than we've seen the first 2 years under Billy Napier at this point?
Yeah, I do. I think that this is the most talented team that Billy Napier has had since he took over in Gainesville. It's a deeper roster. It's a group that I think is better supplemented by the transfer portal than the last two that he had. As you mentioned, the recruiting has been solid at the high school level. Guys like DJ Lagway, Tank Hawkins, TJ Abrams, LJ McCray, and there are several others come into the fold this year as true freshmen who I think can contribute. And this is a group that I think is a little bit more together, and the camaraderie is better than it had been in the past. And that's been something that Billy Napier has said has benefited them. And all of that together, I think, creates their most talented, deepest, and probably best equipped roster to succeed in the SEC.
We're a day away from the scrimmage that they had over the weekend. What did you take out of that scrimmage? I know there's not a ton of usually notes, but I know there's some battles going on there. What did you take out of the scrimmage from this weekend?
I think the biggest takeaway was the defense. We saw a group that was a little bit more aggressive than I think we had heard at this point last offseason. The secondary played a lot better, a lot more disciplined play from those guys. DJ Douglas, the transfer from Tulane, who's playing safety and star in this defense, had a really good game. Florida's defensive line, Justice Boone, LJ McCray stood out, and they played really well. But the problem when the defense plays really well is that the offense tends to not play so well, and that was the case yesterday for sure. The offense is still kind of trying to figure out some things. I think the right side of Florida's offensive line remains a little bit unsettled. Florida's been trying to establish a little bit more of a deep passing game with explosive plays through the air and has kind of struggled to be able to do that, at least with consistency, which was the case during the scrimmage. Graham Mertz, so I've heard, has been very solid throughout preseason camp. Last year, we saw him be very successful within these short to intermediate ranges through the air, and that was, again, the case throughout the scrimmage. But his ability to move the ball on shot plays, Billy Napier has been kind of drilling it into his team about how these shot plays, 75% of teams that they win the shot play battle in games, win games overall. And so the team is making a big push to be able to do that, and we haven't quite seen that materialize yet. This defense did a very good job of generating turnovers and locking guys down, especially in that regard. So, overall, it's a good day, but when the team is playing itself, it is kind of hard to get a good feel for who's doing what and at what stage. But I would say, just in short, it was a good day for the defense and kind of a tough one for Florida's offense.
You can find him on X at Jacob Rudner. And Jacob, what is the very latest back to the offensive side of the ball when it comes to Montrell Johnson, his health, and what Florida's backfield could look like come week one?
Yeah, the Gators made it pretty clear a couple weeks ago that Montrell Johnson's injury was minor and that this scoping procedure was not expected to hold him out for an extended period of time. And I think that we've seen that timeline materialize over the last couple weeks. He has been practicing in a limited capacity with Florida's injury rehab group. Just last week, we saw him get back on the treadmill to start running. I would imagine this week he's going to take another step forward. And he remains in contention to be able to play against Miami. I wouldn't yet call that likely. I would still say that he's questionable for the season opener, but certainly will have a chance to be able to be back on the field. And if not, I would say that Florida's running back room is one of its strongest, if not the strongest, in terms of its depth and ability to replace starting level talent. So if Montrell Johnson can't go, Jacksonville native Trayon Webb is a guy who I think will end up starting for them. Jacoby Jackson, a junior college transfer who joined the program last year, has also had a great preseason and is somebody to keep an eye on. And then Florida has two freshmen, Katie Daniels and Jaden Baugh, who have impressed dating back to the spring. So they do have four legitimate options there. Again, I think Webb is the guy who probably gets the most touches if Montrell Johnson is unable to go, and he probably spells Johnson when he's healthy. But this is a group that has several options who can do different things and kind of fill in different skill sets. And I really have no concern about Florida's running back room with or without Johnson against Miami.
Jacob Redner with us talking Florida Gators football, writes for 24/7 Sports. And like Mia said, you can find him at Jacob Redner. All right, Jacob, last year, certainly one of the biggest issues was the offensive line. And how do you think that's been addressed as far as Napier for this season?
So I think that Florida's offensive line is kind of a tale of two stories here. On the left side, I have some confidence that this is a group that's going to take a step forward. They brought back Austin Barber, their left tackle, who last year didn't perform very well, but we've learned since that he was never quite healthy at any point throughout the season, and this year he is. And so I think that that's going to set the foundation for him to take a step forward and really serve as that leading true left tackle that Florida thought he could be last year, and that's a positive. Sophomore Najee Harris is expected to start at left guard. He showed some flashes when he got onto the field last year as a true freshman of being a plus player. Certainly, I think we've seen that this offseason, and that's very encouraging. And the same can be said at center, where Jake Slaughter is now the full-time starting center. Last year, he was not. Kingsley Egwakon was still in the fold, even though he was hurt for most of the year. And so Slaughter was in this role of like a primary backup who ended up making more starts than the starter was supposed to. And this year, I think he'll be able to take a step forward just now that he's entrenched in this role and prepared for it. The right side of the offensive line, though, has not generated the same sort of confidence throughout the preseason. Damian George, who started at right tackle for Florida last year, is now probably their starting right guard. And I say probably because he hasn't exactly locked down the role yet. We've seen redshirt freshman Rod Kearney, get some starting reps at that spot. Cam Waits, who's now in his third year with the program, has gotten some first-team reps at right guard. And that's just because George hasn't necessarily done enough to truly prove that he is the starter. And the same can be said at right tackle, where Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, the transfer from San Diego State, hasn't exactly done enough to fully lock himself into the role. And so there are some question marks there. And that was the case throughout the scrimmage on Saturday when those two guys had some moments of struggle. I was told that part of the reason the deep passing didn't really materialize for Florida's first-team offense was because of some of those offensive line struggles throughout the day. and they mostly generated on the right side of the line. So my biggest question for this offense is that part of the group. Who is going to emerge as a starter, not just in the first game of the season, but as the year goes on? And will they be able to take a step forward? They brought some transfers in. Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon is obviously the top one of those guys, but he hasn't done anything yet to really cement himself as a surefire starter. So I think that it's a unit that has a chance to be better. They bring back some people who I have some confidence in, but there are question marks with some of the older players as well as their newcomers about just how effective they'll be.
Jacob, we have about 12 days until Florida kicks off their season against Miami. A big game for both of the teams, honestly. What does Florida have to do to win week one?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to a couple key factors that we saw last year, and I'll start with the secondary. Florida got gashed through the air last season, gave up more shot plays on defense than any other SEC team, I believe, besides Vanderbilt. And they're going to need to start off on the right foot in that regard. Cam Ward, the transfer quarterback at Miami, has a big arm. He's extremely athletic. It's going to require a very disciplined Florida defense in order to be able to handle that. And it's going to start in the secondary as well as the pass rush, I think, is a key spot. Florida did not generate enough pressure last year. We've heard that from its players and its coaches, that has been an expressed goal this offseason to establish a more consistent pass rush. And if they can do that in week one, it will go a long way in being able to limit Miami. And then, as we've been talking about for the last couple minutes on offense, whether or not Florida can generate those shot plays is going to be extremely significant. They last year ranked 9th in the SEC in explosive plays through the air, and that is just not good enough for a team looking to take a step forward and prove to its fan base and even to itself that it's in a position to be more successful. And Miami has a good defense right now. Their defensive line is reloaded via the transfer portal. Offensive line play will be critical. Whether or not Graham Mertz can kind of establish some of those deep threat options, whether it's Tank Hawkins or Elijah Badger, the transfer from Arizona State, Chimere Dike from Wisconsin, who he has a lot of familiarity with, and, of course, Trey Wilson. Those guys are going to need to generate more big plays right out the gate in week one against the Hurricanes than they did pretty much all of last year. One stat that stands out to me, Graham Mertz completed just 16 passes of 20 or more yards through the air throughout the entire 2023 season. It's a number that is just not going to cut it this year, and I think the first time to really get a good look at that will have to be against Miami if Florida hopes to win that game at home.
Jacob, quickly, 30 seconds or less, because I know we're short on time and we appreciate your time. As we wrap up with you on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, tell me this, temperature in terms of Billy Napier on the hot seat. Has it gotten hotter? Has it cooled off a bit in the days and weeks leading into this week one matchup with the Canes?
I don't think it's any different based on the offseason, but I will say that if you're 11-14 through 2 years in Gainesville, the seat will be hot. These fans have high expectations, and this is going to be his year to prove it. So I think it's fair to say at this point that the seat is warm at a minimum, and Billy Napier has a lot to prove in this big 2024 season.
And a lot riding on the quarterback position. So do we see DJ Lagway against Miami, yes or no?
Ooh, I think that we probably do not see DJ Lagway against Miami, but I think that we do see him sporadically throughout the season. I think it's important for Florida fans to know that this is Graham Mertz's team. DJ Lagway is viewed as the backup, and I think that Florida has plans to bring him into games. Whether or not that happens in a tough rivalry week one, I'm not so sure.
Sounds good. Jacob, thank you so very much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I liked when he went in depth on the offensive line because, like I said, both the Jags and the Gators last year, huge issues with those position groups. And we all know that Richie Leonard, who was a starter for Florida last season, is now going to be a starter at FSU this season. So how are they going to replace those guys? And no DJ Lagway is his prediction for week one.
We'll continue to react to our conversations with both Jacob and Luke Hetrick on the other side of this timeout. But I do think that that one stat Jacob referenced in his second to last answer, ladies, is one that when I look at Florida in 2024, where I need to see growth, 16 passes of 20 yards or more. I'm not saying that we have to see the greatest show on turf in Gainesville, but I do need to see, just like here in Jacksonville, some verticality early and often.
And I can answer as to why part of that. Ricky Pearsall was Graham's go-to guy. And where is Ricky Pearsall best?
In the slot.
In the slot, exactly. So if you're just like Jaguars, Christian Kirk, Trevor Lawrence's best friend on the field, sometimes Christian Kirk. then you are going to have lower amounts of explosive plays.
The Jags add Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis to double down and fix it. It will be curious to see if the Gators made a similar move that comes to fruition.
Yes, we shall see. All right, we've got more to do. Like Mia said, on the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. Visit them at bigchieftire.com. 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Apparently, I'm, volatile, self-obsessed, and don't play well with others.
Jeff Prosser.
I think they need a timeout.
Mornings on the drill.
Your boy Captain America over here.
On 1010XL.
Big man in a suit of armor.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien here. You just heard me tell Luke Hetrick how hot it was outside on my run this morning, which means your AC better be blowing nice and cold on the inside if it is indeed that hot out here in Jacksonville. But if for any reason it's not blowing nice and cold on the inside, my friends at Duck Duck Air Conditioning are here to help. Their qualified service techs can handle any type of cooling issue at your home or business. Don't deal with the summer heat outside and inside. Give Duck Duck AC a call today to schedule service. 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Duck AC is a licensed mechanical contractor.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. Hurricanes happen in Florida. That's not news. But what happens even more often than hurricanes are home break-ins. And if security is important to you, you might want to look into hurricane-rated impact windows.
What you may not know is that hurricane-rated impact windows not only help protect your home in case of a hurricane, but they also offer another level of security for your home.
Have you seen those videos on YouTube that show people trying to break through an impact window? A thief is way too lazy to spend his energy trying to break through one of our impact windows. That's why he doesn't have a real job like you. He'd rather break your non-impact window while you're at work. Window World has high-quality, very affordable hurricane-rated impact windows to help protect your home from hurricanes and from lazy thieves.
Call us today at 904-443-7001. Get a free estimate and see for yourself. You save energy, get more security, and the windows add value to your home. With all Window World windows, you get the best guarantee in the window replacement business.
Window World, simply the best for less. And thank you for your business.
Did you know you can charge the all-new Honda Electric Prologue in the same receptacle as your phone? You don't need these special charging stations at your home. Simply plug in your Honda or your phone. See your local Honda dealer now. We're electrified.
Come to Monahan Jewelers store-wide 50 to 60% off sale going on now for a very limited time. Everything on display is 50 to 60% off at Monahan Jewelers. We've bought so much brand new jewelry, we need to make room for it. Diamond jewelry, engagement semi-mounts, colored gemstones, even gold chains. Right now, everything on display at Monahan Jewelers is 50 to 60% off. Jewelry's going quick, so come to Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Mike Dempsey here for the 20-pound summer slim down with Awaken 180 weight loss. Drop 20 pounds before summer ends and cruise into fall with a new routine of better health. Do what I did and find your results with the solution for weight loss at awaken180weightloss.com.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
We've seen it 1,000 times. Insurance companies using the same tired excuses not to pay. They'll say you're really not hurt or that your injury is from an old accident. That's why it's so important to hire a law firm who has their own medical experts, who know how to fight excuses with facts. When they bring excuses, we bring the truth. And truth is power. Farah and Farah. Here for you, here for good. Jacksonville.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Well, all the news forecasts say that home prices are expected to decline in 2025. Hey, that's great if you're buying a home. But if you're selling one, you might want to get to it. And when it comes to selling your home,
The agents you should trust are Chad and Sandy Newman at chadandsandy.com. Maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how, and you don't want to worry about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Those things are all out with Chad and Sandy. They're the local real estate experts you can trust, and I recommend for the sale of your home, or for the sale of mine for that matter. Maybe I should look into it. Hey, don't trust me. Trust Jacqueline from Biscayne Estates. My inherited home became a nightmare when it went unsold for 177 days and ended up with a large lien. With expenses mounting for my handicapped daughter and no way to pay, I was desperate. At this point, I turned to Chad and Sandy. The change was amazing. Chad and Sandy sold my home in 3 days at a higher than asking price. Find out for yourself at chadandsandy.com or 904-414-6200.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
When were the St. Johns River jetties built? The answer next.
There's always a good reason to compare homeowners' insurance rates. You may be paying too much. Protect your home with a Southern Oak insurance policy today.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Congress approved plans to build the jetties in 1879, and construction was from 1880 to 1885.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. History was made Sunday night down at 1-1 Financial Ballpark as the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp rallied with a historic 8-run comeback against the Memphis Redbirds, winning 10-9. The Shrimp began their comeback in the bottom of the 8th, trailing 9-2. Jacksonville sent 12 men to the plate with Troy Johnston, De Los Santos, and Tristan Gray hitting back-to-back home runs, helping the Shrimp make the comeback. Up next for the Shrimp is a 6-game series over in Nashville against the Sounds starting tomorrow night. The high school football regular season kicked off in Georgia Friday night with Georgia commit Elias Williams from Camden County, who had 3 touchdowns for Camden in their win over Brunswick 51-41. Local Jacksonville teams Bishop Kenny and Bulls will both kick off their season this Friday. Due to inclement weather at Michigan International Speedway, the Firekeepers Casino 400 NASCAR Cup Series was postponed until today. Coverage will be on 10:10 a.m. It's 91 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Me O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. You're dancing, so this is one of your songs.
Yes, this is Paramore.
Paramore, oh, that's right. I know you love them. All right, Doug Peterson met with media earlier today, and this, to me, is exciting. The fact that we might see number 91 on the field. That would be Eric Armstead on the field this Friday night against the Falcons. We also might see Darnell Savage. So here's Doug Peterson on whether or not those two guys will play.
Yes, we're going to see how he is in practice. I can't speak on the game just yet, but we're going to work some individual stuff and then progress, slowly with him. And then I'll just, Savage, his red jersey came off, so he's officially cleared to go. So he'll play this week.
So that's good news. Like I said, both defensive lineman hasn't seen Eric Armstead in rotation, maybe not play in the game, but certainly throughout practice. And then Darnell Savage, is he a safety? Is he the nickel corner? Yeah. That's what we haven't been able to exactly see their plan as far as preseason games because Darnell Savage hasn't played. We've only seen him at training camp practice.
I'm honestly not going to recognize him with a non-red jersey. Again, I'm going to say it again. And I told Doug, I wasn't saying it in jest. I legitimately thought because of the expectation of this position hybrid of sorts that Darnell Savage is going to play. And because, yes, he is coming off of an injury, he started wearing the red jersey and just liked it so much that he kept it on. But he has assured us that, no, he has not been available for contact, even though he has been a full participant, Lauren, during team periods. And he is very excited to shed the red this week. I
had texted Demetrius Harvey last week because he posted an article when the beginning of training camp about the red jersey and why he was wearing it and the injury that he was coming off of. So I texted him. I was like, is he ever not going to be wearing the red jersey? And Demetrius was like, I don't know. I honestly asked Doug, and he seemed kind of didn't love the question. And I'm like, well, people are curious. You sign people in the offseason, and it's one of the acquisitions you get that you're counting on being a bigger rotational piece. So you want to see him, And so I get maybe the fans haven't seen, they're not at all of the training camp and practices, so they haven't seen it. So good to see the red jersey off of Savage.
And look, he's had the shoulder is what he's been dealing with. But like Mia said, we've pretty much seen him do everything other than playing the preseason games.
Yeah. And that's what I think was confusing a lot of people, because it was like the non-contact, but he was getting contact. So it was a little strange.
Exactly. Yeah, he was getting way more contact than the quarterbacks who were wearing the same red jerseys.
Yes.
Look, this defense is, I tweeted this out during the game Saturday night. Like, even in the fourth quarter of the preseason, they're still swarming the ball.
Yep.
They are still flying around. Ryan Nielsen might be, and I've said this before, might be the most important acquisition they made this offseason. It may not be one of these individual players. It may be the defensive coordinator.
Yes, and we won't see just how much shuffling there will be, of course, till week 1. We're seeing a ton of it now, the depth chart etched in sand. And I'm genuinely curious to see if we see what Rick Ballou commented to us, Lauren, in the press box during week 1 of the preseason. He described it as a hockey shift. I'm curious if it is a hockey shift. We probably should have gone, if we had more time, we would have gone more in depth with Luke about what he saw a year ago with Ryan Nielsen as the DC up there. And there wasn't as much depth, and yet the rotation to keep guys fresh and the intention to act as such was so prevalent in Atlanta that I think with more resources here in Jacksonville, it will be a thing.
Yeah.
Come the regular season, where you still see guys being thrown in, 3 or 4 at a time, fresh legs. You do see disguises or whatever it may be. And again, this is just based off of what we saw in Atlanta last year and knowing the skill set that exists and what we believe exists here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and I think it's really fun, too, to see other guys getting pressures and sacks, too, because that was a big concern after last year was Trayvon and Josh Hines-Allen getting everything. And now that we haven't even seen Eric Armstead, by the way. So imagine now when you have that interior or wherever they end up putting him, inside, outside, because I think we will see both from him. But you're seeing guys like, Braylon Speaks and Trevis, who didn't get a sack technically, was all over the quarterback. It was really fun to see Trevis, and that's what he adds, is that extra layer of maybe a little bit of assist in helping other people get those sacks. But I think there's so many people now that have added this extra layer of, when we talk about the rotational pieces, this extra layer of being able to at least create pressure, which we didn't see much of last year.
Do you think that Chad Muma played a lot because the other two inside linebackers in Foye Lukin and Devin Lloyd have a lot more game experience than Muma? That's at least my read on it.
I think that Chad Muma started for the same reason that Parker Washington started, which is even if the expectation is he will be on the roster, maybe he won't get quite as much playing time or at least get a start, depending on how the Jaguars choose to line up week 1. And because he hasn't had a ton of playing time over the past 2 years, and he is a reliable veteran voice, which I think for those of you who were panicked that, Anton and Ezra played or that Roy Robertson Harris was playing, like, the reality is, well, yes, it's a 90-man roster. Some of these guys just arrived in the last 2 weeks. You probably want dudes who know the system and know what the expectations are to kind of be a fortifying force, even if it is a preseason game on the field. So that's why I think you saw so much run from Chad Muma. And I think it was also on the part of Ryan Nielsen, seeing how comfortable he looked in different positions on the field.
Yeah. I think certain guys played because and Doug spoke to this today, like they had injuries this past year.
Correct.
Right?
That
or
too.
this offseason. And so Roy is certainly one of those guys. Ezra's one of those guys. Chad was very healthy. Parker also is one of those guys that had an injury last season. But Chad is super healthy, but yet starting in the preseason game when a lot of other starters didn't play. And that was the one thing, Taylor, going into the game, we knew they wouldn't play, but then they came out, all the Jaguars players came out in jerseys and were running around, warming up. Trevor was sprinting and things like that. And then they go back in the tunnel. When they came back out, they were just in their street clothes.
They like trick you a little bit.
I was like, oh, they're not even going to wear jerseys. So obviously that's fine. But yeah, I watched Trevor a lot during the game and he was on the headset. And so I assumed that he was not necessarily calling plays, but was still somewhat involved, kind of like a coach Saturday night.
Yeah, and kind of talking the quarterbacks through and that's one thing I've heard a lot about Mac and how Mac can play similar to what Trevor does, which is obviously beneficial because you don't have to change your offense when if, God forbid, the backup quarterback has to come in for whatever reason. He's able to run the same style offense, the same type of offense. And so I do think that's beneficial. So I do think part of it is Trevor kind of walking Mac through, not saying do this, do this, do this, but hey, here's a little bit inside my mind of what I'm seeing in these certain moments.
All right, so speaking of Parker Washington, he did get to play, and I think yet again played really well in the second preseason game. Mia, you caught up with him in the locker room Saturday?
Yes, myself, and then Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. You'll also hear him in this interview with Parker post-game. I wish I could post it for you one day very soon, actually, Taylor Dahl. We will find a way that RJ can actually play the video
that's nice.
on our YouTube live stream. We are progressing to that. We've got a lot going on here at the Superstation. We're going to get there eventually. If you haven't seen it already on the 1010XL Jaguar channel, listen to it here and then go back and watch it again, because the smile on this young man's face is something that is so rewarding. I know for him, but also for us, having covered him last year, Lauren, knowing how difficult it was to get hurt on your very first play in the National Football League, get thrown on IR, and then all of a sudden on Monday Night Football, you are the centerpiece. You are the focal point of the Jaguars offense with Christian Kirk going down. And so here is Parker Washington after another big day on Saturday.
All right, Parker, another week of us talking to you. Touchdown this week. Walk us through that play in particular.
It was, I had a middle read, so I either run like a basic or a seam. They were disguising like man, and then they went cover 2, so when they go cover 2, I just run straight up the field. It was just opened up like the Red Sea, so Mac saw me. I'm glad we connected on that one, just being able to execute that one.
How are you feeling about your training camp so far? I mean, it feels like, the coaches have been hyping you up, your teammates have been hyping you up, and now it's showing up back-to-back preseason games.
It's exciting to see the work pay off, especially from this offseason, and really just being able to come into training camp healthy, ready to go, and just taking it one day at a time, and most importantly, just having fun. I feel like I'm having the most fun I've had probably my whole life playing football, and I'm just enjoying each and every moment and just taking it one step at a time.
Do you feel like you're at a point where you're faster and stronger than you were this time a year ago?
Definitely. I would say coming into my rookie year, ankle injury, still just trying to feel things out that rookie year, and plus everything was new too, but coming through this offseason and training camp healthy, got a chance to train, no injuries going on, so it's just been a blessing, and just been trying to take advantage of that opportunity and just building on it.
What would you say is the bigger chip on your shoulder in your life? When you were drafted 185th overall, or after how last season ended?
I just take all that into account, nothing. I would say we move on from everything, but it's never you don't forget about it. And I just feel like that helps to be able to keep attacking these days and not getting complacent. And just taking it one step at a time. I feel like that's where I'm at, being where my feet are and just chocolate carry water.
What did you see from some of the younger wide receivers? Brevin with the touchdown today, and O'Skeets had a nice catch too.
Oh, they were hyped. They were excited. We was on the sideline talking about it. It was just a fun moment. I was excited for them to be able to take advantage of their opportunity, and just seeing the work in practice and it paying off and translating to the game. It was exciting to see.
I know we've asked you about this a little bit. I know we've asked you a little bit about this, and obviously no Christian tonight, so perhaps that plays a factor, but your inside-outside versatility, something you showed at Penn State, maybe didn't have the opportunity to show last year. For you, is it one of those things where you're ready, you're waiting for that moment?
I've been praying about that, just being able to display that I can play inside and out, and just happened naturally, and the coach has been trusting me to embrace that role, and it's been exciting, and I just want to take those steps forward, continue to develop and grow and learn, and it's going to be exciting. I just want to continue to prove my value as much as possible.
I loved the background. I could hear someone go, Cam, you're allowed to drink, because of course it was Cam Little's 21st birthday.
Aww.
And
Cam Little we also caught up with. That interview is also on the 1010XL Jaguar channel. I hope he had a good belated birthday party at Logan Cook's house yesterday. He said he wasn't going to drink on Saturday. He was going to get home.
Smart.
He was going to get home and kind of settle down, and said he was very excited to not be at the Marriott Sunday morning. So he got to sleep in his own bed, and I know that was very exciting for him. And the biggest news on that front, he and Ross gifted each other friendship bracelets for Cam's birthday. So he has one that says Ross's name, and Ross has one that has Cam's name on it. So, yeah, pretty subdued 21st birthday. But, hey, you could hear not only the guys in the background cheering for Cam for his birthday, but also for Parker and what Parker has been able to do the last few weeks.
Yeah, 3 catches, 38 yards, and a touchdown. That's not bad.
For it. Yeah, and that's what I saw. It's preseason when on my Twitter, people were like, I kind of wish Mac didn't convert that 3rd and long because I wanted to see Cam Little nail a 60-yarder. And I was like, it's same.
Yeah, Cam Little at some point this season is going to hit something over 60 yards.
Oh, definitely.
The fact that he didn't this preseason when he lined up for the 62-yarder in week 1, it missed just left. It's his first ever NFL appearance, and he barely missed it.
Yeah.
He absolutely is going to make over a 60-yarder. Good stuff from Parker Washington, and like we said, I think he's going to play a big role this season, even if there's not an injury to those starting guys. I think they really like what Parker has done, how hard he's worked, and it'll be interesting to me to see if we see both Christian Kirk and Parker Washington on the field at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes in the same vein as Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby on the field at the same time. If those are two players who you feel have developed and have shown you something and deserve that opportunity, not to mention they're two of your best players, can you find a way to get those players on the field at the same time?
Yeah.
Etienne's probably like, thank goodness I don't have to do everything.
And I'm sure he last year was probably thinking use Tank more. I know he had some issues, but
he's like, my ribs
I have a rib injury.
Use Dearness more. I know he was a little banged up as well, but no, I believe in my heart of hearts that this team took a long, hard look in the mirror and recognized a lot of things this offseason. But one of them was certainly the importance of keeping Travis Etienne fresh because he isn't just a weapon in the backfield. He does so much more for you. And I'm not talking about special teams or anything like that, obviously, but what he can do as a receiver, what he can do as a decoy. There is so much to his game that makes you better that you need to protect that asset at all costs.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think at this point in time, Keelan Robinson, who the Jaguars drafted, because we haven't seen him due to a toe injury, he's been in a boot. I don't know if he makes the team. And I think you've seen some good stuff out of Jalen Jackson. And so we'll see. We'll always talk about that 53-man roster until they make the cuts August 27th because there are some fascinating positional battles. All right, Taylor Dahl has a tangent when we return, and it has something to do with a fashion faux pas. You won't want to miss that. That is next on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Get your engine tuned up for Saturday night at Daytona.
Hey, boys, watch this.
NASCAR Coke Zero 400 at Daytona. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234. From Jacksonville's NASCAR station, 1010XL.
Mia here, and are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using MyBookie Sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app needed. Just click the link, sign up, and you're ready to rock. Did you know that the average college football game runs about 180 plays? Literally, every catch, every sack, and every touchdown is another way to hit pay dirt using MyBookie. When you bet with MyBookie, you're not just watching games, folks. You are investing in every moment of the action. I'll say it from experience. A few bucks on the line can turn any regular season game into one of the most exciting of the season. Make sure that you also check out the casino while you're there because there's so much fun in store by heading on over to mybookie.ag, especially when you use promo code 1010XL. Sign up and claim an extra $1,000 on your first deposit by using that promo code 1010XL.
Jennifer, Luxury has a new address in Jacksonville.
Oh, do tell, John.
Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard. We've got over 40 Cadillac Lyrics in stock.
40? That's incredible. Any color you want?
You bet. Pick your color and drive away today. Plus, we're giving away a free home charger with every Lyric.
Fantastic. Anything else?
How about a car you'll never have to change the oil on?
No oil changes ever? Now that's luxury.
Randy Marion Cadillac, where Jacksonville meets luxury.
Visit us today on Southside Boulevard and tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Injured in an accident? Have mounting medical bills? Can't work? Don't worry. Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan of Von Rowan Law. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve. Set up your free consultation at zachsgotyourback.com.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pit masters since '68.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation, with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Start your week by talking teal with Tony. Hall of Fame Monday with Tony Baselli. Monday mornings at 7:20 with Dan and Jeff on the drill. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida. Hall of Fame Quality Roofing Solutions on 1010XL.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
If you're looking for the best in indoor air quality, I've got the experts to call. Florida Home AC, the official AC provider of the Jaguars, specializing in the best air quality for your home or work with the Remy Halo. Instead of waiting for pollutants to travel through the ductwork to be neutralized, the Halo cell releases friendly oxidizers every time your fan blows air, helping those in your home that suffer from allergies and other respiratory issues. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC and start enjoying cool comfort and clean air.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Visionaries, builders, and doers, are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Duval. Jaguars football is officially back. Be there for the Jaguars 2024 home opener when they go head-to-head with the Cleveland Browns. Join us as we celebrate Hispanic heritage and take the field at Everbank Stadium for the first time during our 30th season. Lock in your seats now for the 1 p.m. kick by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you back at the bank.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. RJ, are you wearing a bucket hat inside?
Without a doubt.
He's trying to block out the haters, Lauren. Come on now.
RJ doesn't have any haters. No haters at all. It takes, a special person to wear a bucket hat inside. I'm just going to say that you can pull it off. I would not be able to. Speaking of fashion, Taylor Dahl has a tangent fashion related.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
All right, I love you, Simone Biles. I know you've been a little busy.
Uh-oh. Comma, but.
I know you've been a little busy winning gold medals and all, but you cannot wear a Green Bay Packers jacket to Soldier Field when your husband plays for the Bears. I honestly tried to defend her. I really did. A lot of people on Twitter were like, what is she doing? What is she doing? And I'm like, she's been busy. She
forgot what team her husband's playing for now.
Because he used to play for the Packers?
He played for the Packers
so
last
that's
year,
why
yeah.
she has a
but it's
Kristen
also interesting 'cause
Juszczyk design
he played
jacket.
3 years in Houston, 1 year in Green Bay, and then now Chicago. So that's what at first I was like, well, he's been in Green Bay. And I was like, actually, he's only been in Green Bay 1 year. And it's like, so yeah, rewind. She shows up on the field also wearing a boot. So originally I texted you guys and was like, look at her like winning gold medals. When we talked about, I think right away that first day for the gymnastics, she messed up her ankle and we were talking about that, battled through it obviously and won 3 gold medals during this time. But so that's the first thing I noticed. And then I start looking and I'm like, that jacket has Green Bay logos all over it. And it's him, it's Jonathan Owens. So there's like actual pictures of him on the jacket, like catching it, like in his uniform. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, she's just trying to support her husband. I really tried to defend her. But then as I was looking more into it, I was like, honestly, no, you need to be better because it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, longest rivalry in the NFL. And you have money and he has money. We can get a new jacket for the Bears. Some people now, there's like a little conspiracy theory that it was like for publicity, some kind of stunt for them. And I was like, maybe she did this to get some attention. And then the next game she'll show up like in her Bears one and everyone will be like, oh, like Green Bay's out the door. Now it's the Bears time. But I also was like, on him too, Jonathan Owens. Like you didn't tell your wife, like don't do that. They hate each other. Like you do not want to wear that inside Soldier Field.
But he's not there when she's getting dressed, so I don't think it's his fault.
But let her know, like don't wear that Green Bay
now
jacket.
She knows.
And I honestly am surprised, and I'm glad no one did. Like I'm glad no one was like throwing things or shouting at her when she was walking. But I'm surprised they didn't because that's how intense it is when you are wearing something Green Bay in Chicago walking into Soldier Field.
I will say that, again, she's coming from a sport where the Americans are cheering on. I'm blanking on her name right now. I just had it now. I'm blanking. From Brazil, Lauren.
Oh, yeah.
They're like cheering her on. All 3 of them had their hands together on the podium. Americans lost their you-know-what from that.
Rebecca Andrade?
Yes, Andrade. Yep, that's it. Good memory. And it's just, look, I don't know. Like,
and that's why. So my original
I agree. Like,
defense,
have some self-awareness, but also like she's coming from a sport, and that's not to say she doesn't understand football. She grew up in Houston, like she knows football. But it's to say that like she's coming from a sport where like yes, they're competing against each other.
Yeah.
But they also like support each other. So maybe just didn't really understand that they're rivals. I don't know.
I just could imagine here if like one of the players' wives walks out with the Tennessee Titans jacket on and is just like walking around, like it would be a thing. It would be a thing. And so that's why at first I really tried to defend her. And then everyone's texting me. My Packer fan friends are like, haha, like she doesn't want to let go of Green Bay. I'm like, nobody wants to be in Green Bay. Like she's happy she gets to live in Chicago now. But not the best look. And I think there was, I'm glad that fans weren't mean, but they were like, get a new jacket.
I do understand that not everyone is aware of the hatred that comes with rivalries. Like you may understand that what a rivalry is, like for instance, Florida State or Florida Georgia or FSU Miami. You may understand. But if you're not a sports fan, then you don't really go back to those moments that your emotions are either high as a kite or you're down in the dumps because of something that happened.
And in her mind, she was supporting her husband.
Exactly.
She was like, this is my husband's on my jacket. You know, she probably doesn't understand. Now she knows the extent to that rivalry.
We know she's got the money to make a new one, too. Once he makes the 53, like, I mean, she's got the money to make another jacket.
Yeah, so Kyle Juszczyk's wife, Kristen, is the one who makes these custom jackets. And I guarantee that it was expensive, though.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's custom. And so she's probably like, I only got to wear this for a year?
Yeah, I paid
Come on, man. I paid way too much money for this. You switched teams. Well, I'm going to still...
your fault.
Yeah, I'm going to still get a little bit of usage out of this. We all have that, like, one item that you've gotten. It was more expensive than you probably should have paid. And you're like, by golly, I'm wearing
this.
Go. Correct. I'm wearing this or keeping this for a long time because of that. Yeah. As far as the actual game, and I'm sure not every person listening watched it, but in watching it, Caleb Williams, I think he's going to be really good. My one hesitation would be, and if I was his offensive coordinator, I would coach him to make fewer plays off schedule. But because in the preseason, I think it's always going to work. Yeah. But in the regular season, you're not going to be able to scramble for as long as he did and find someone in the end zone.
Well, and that's what, I mean, it's definitely been something they've been working on because that's one of the things coming out of college. Everyone talked about the time to throw was very high.
Yep.
It was higher than Justin Fields was. So that was like one of the biggest concerns was, okay, you have this, you can do all these miraculous magic things, but you're not going to be able to rely on that as heavily as you could at USC. So actually, I saw a stat earlier, and this is crazy to think about because Justin Fields and Caleb Williams are holding the ball for eternity. This is what this tweet says. For an eternity this preseason, 3.39 seconds for Justin Fields, 3.3 seconds for Caleb Williams. The difference is Fields sack rate 11.5, Caleb Williams 4.8. Like he's really good at getting rid of the ball when he needs to, when he can't find anything. He's really good at that last second. We were talking about the one to Rome Odunze in the corner. What ended up not being a touchdown because Rome's feet were out of the back of the end zone, but he just does things that it's wild. And that Mia was texting me. She was like, I would be stressed watching this type of quarterback. And I'm like, the difference is we watched Justin do that, but Justin was getting sacked every other play. Caleb got sacked one time in 2 games.
I don't want to take the fun out of him, to your point, Lauren. I would not try to coach the fun. I think it's a very fine line because this is who he is. And if you try to force him to be something he's not, who's to say that results in a negative experience overall for the entire collective? My question for you, Taylor, is, well, certainly that final drive before the half, which you did send and it was confirmed by Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles, they did not expect their starters to play nearly as long as they did.
Yeah.
And Caleb Williams and company wanted to continue to play.
Because they played almost the entire first half.
Yeah. Right. And they had several 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
Against
the first 3 were 3-and-outs,
against the Bengals' second and third team defense. Does that give you pause, or do you just dismiss it as it's preseason, they're still working out the kinks?
No, I think that Shane Waldron was doing weird things.
We're back to
not
Bears
in a negative way.
Okay,
He's just trying things like what is working for which people.
Yeah.
We've used the experiment word here.
Experimenting. Yep.
There's a lot of things that Caleb can do, and there's a lot of weapons on the Bears, and they're figuring out who all is the best at which and what Caleb can do at the NFL level. Because there were some moments where I was like, that was a weird play call, but you could tell it was more so like Shane's like, let's try this, do this. There was also the box score. That's why we talk about the box score. There were several plays. There was a deep pass that ended up being a penalty. So that would be an incompletion. That shouldn't have been. It should have been a touchdown technically, but they were holding Tyler Scott's whole shoulders and pulling him back. So it ended up giving them a first down, but that would have been one that would have been technically a completion, And then DJ Moore actually did drop one. DJ Moore barely ever drops passes. He dropped one in the middle of the field. It was a laser right in the basket. So those are ones you're not seeing that would have already put them at the 50, and it wouldn't have been a 3-and-out. So there were moments. There was some questionable. He sailed a couple passes. Those are going to happen. I mean, he's a rookie, so I don't think anybody was panicking over the beginning.
At the very least, I am glad that Matt Eberflus gives that long leash and says, hey, Caleb and the starters, keep playing. Yeah. And I agree with what Luke Hetrick said earlier to us in the 12 o'clock hour, that Raheem Morris is from the Sean McVay school of thought. He doesn't play his starters in the preseason. Yeah. That is all fine and good. But these rookie quarterbacks, man, I just can't get away from the fact that
crazy.
You have to trot them out there. Yeah. They need to know what they're up against.
Yeah. Well, and Waldron's part of the McVay tree, too. He was with McVay for a while, too. And they played almost a full half. So it is interesting to see how Atlanta's approaching it, because you have a guy we're talking about. We don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to be ready week 1 and how ready he's going to be. And you might have to play a quarterback who's barely played, if at all, this preseason.
Yeah. When you have, though, the season-ending injuries like Atlanta's had, that's when you start to think, I don't want to see another guy go down. And so I'm going to have to play backups. That's just yes, I'm sure that was his philosophy going in. And then you do see Rondale Moore and Braylon Trice both get injured for the entire season. And you think, I can't have this happen.
Penix also has the history of injuries, so they're going to probably be extra.
Yeah, bubble wrap. Exactly. Yeah. All right, we've got lunch on the ladies right now.
Yeah, we do. Lunch for 2 on us. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 3.
All right, sounds good. We've got 1 segment to go, more to do here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Mia here. Why Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned? Because when it comes to selection, you don't want to have to compromise at all. You want to get it all, and that's exactly what you will find at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Just listen to this. Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That, folks, is over 600 cars, and they are all in one location. Maybe you're buying your kid's first car, or you're on a tight budget and really need some wheels. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18K. And if you're looking for buying confidence, you found it. Because when you buy from Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, you get 60 days to love it or exchange it. 60 days. Need a little credit help? Arlington has your back with their Credit for Everyone program to help you get financed. Why Arlington? The better question is, why not? Don't wait. Shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned today. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Hacker here with a new opportunity for you. The 20-pound summer slim down with Awaken 180 weight loss. Dropping 20 pounds before summer ends, cruising to your goal of 30, 40, 50-plus pounds down. It's simple. You take the last few weeks of summer, eating, drinking, enjoying the weather, but the difference? You're doing it with the 20-pound summer slim down. But you say, Hack, summer's almost over. Well, that's the point. The pounds melt off fast with Awaken 180. I dropped my first 20 in less time, and that easy 20 propelled me to reach my goal of losing over 85 pounds. Think about it. You're about to slide back into the same old fall routine with the same old mindset. Mix it up. Live up the rest of your summer while dropping the first 20. Then jump into fall with a whole new groove. Yeah, I said it, and you'll be saying it too in just a few weeks. 20-pound summer slim down with the solution for weight loss. Online, awaken180weightloss.com.
Clearwater. John, I can't even mow my side yard. It's so soggy. Man, my builder sucks.
Brent, calm down. This is a common problem in neighborhoods where houses are built too close together. You need gutters and a properly installed French drain that will soak up subsurface water. We can completely dry it up.
So I can take my builder off my speed dial now, huh?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. Let that builder bitterness go.
Clearwater irrigation and drainage too.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
You know, car accidents are scary. That split second before impact when you try to drive your way out of it, but you just can't. And suddenly your life changes forever. Your long-term medical outlook doesn't resemble the healthy future you had just seconds earlier. You can't swerve to miss the pain either. If a car accident has left you hurt and afraid, call 396-5555 now. It's time to turn your fear into fight. Farah & Farah, Jacksonville.
Joe C. for Hard Rock Bet. It's Florida's only legal sportsbook. Hard Rock Bet is the way to go. Easy sign up, fast deposits and withdrawals, PayPal, Venmo, cards, and more. They take them all. And we're talking hundreds of props, parlays, live play-by-play betting across every sport. And you can bet from anywhere in the state of Florida. If your first bet doesn't win, you get up to $100 back for another shot. Download Hard Rock Bet now or go online at hardrock.bet.
Helmets and heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about letting things roll off of your back. So often we can make big deals out of things that are not really big deals. We can allow them to steal the joy of our day. But let me remind you that don't allow anyone or anything to steal the joy of today. Go out today not letting little things steal the big things that God has in store for you.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Get closer to nature.
Trying to get closer to these bucks out here.
Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Faber, and Captain Kirk Waltz. The Nimnicht Outdoor Show. Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Saturday morning 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
You hear that? That's the sound of your water bill tripling. Are you ready to fix the drip? Call Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services. They do it all. DuckDuckRooter.com.
This is Dr. James Perry, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Running back Tank Bigsby heavily contributed to the Jags' second preseason win against the Bucs Saturday night, carrying a lot of the offense in the first half. Bigsby spoke post-game on his thoughts about the offensive line and their blocking.
How those guys was fighting, we all come out and play, try to put our best foot forward and fight. Practice starting Monday, we got to go out there and get better every day, but them guys did their job. They did what they're supposed to do. As runners, we have to make people miss, and that's our job, create things and make things happen. So, but they did a great job. They are improving a lot. We are improving in the back room, the running back room, so it's amazing.
Bigsby finished with 10 carries for 37 yards while catching 3 passes for 19 yards. Sound courtesy of Jaguars.com. I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars Update.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Man alive, I didn't expect Doug Peterson to have to be asked today if Trevor Lawrence is the starter or not. Folks, I'm not out here trying to spew nonsense and make you less intelligent because that's not my job. I'm trying to make you more intelligent. I've actually had that argument with a lot of people over the last few weeks. That is part of our job, is to provide you with insight, knowledge, and that is just a whole bunch of hogwash, folks. Let's move forward. Let's see 2 quarters from Trevor Lawrence. I see those of you on the internet concerned about the offensive line in front of him, and it's going to be the same offensive line week 1. Let's see what it looks like.
Tank. I feel like I am a new member.
You've joined the cult.
Biggest Tank Bigsby fan. I might get a jersey this year. Of a big Bigsby jersey. He's just been so fun for me to watch, and that's my takeaway today. And I know it's preseason, and we want to see it in the regular season because we talked about him a ton in during camp and preseason last year, but he just looks different, and it's so good to have those 2 different type of backs, the teams that have that versatility with their running backs, where you have the one who can catch passes and can run the ball and is good more when it comes to like open space, and then you have the one that can run people over. So beneficial to the run game. So I'm super excited about Tank Bigsby.
My biggest gripe with the preseason is that guys do get injured in meaningless football games. And so the good news for the Jaguars is they haven't had any season-ending injuries. CJ Beathard did go down in Saturday night's game with the groin injury. We'll see the timetable on that. But Jarian Jones, who got poked in the eye, was perfectly fine. And we saw Christian Braswell go into the medical tent, but he came out and there was no injury update on him. So I'm assuming that he was perfectly fine.
Just sore, Doug said.
Yeah, so that's all really good news. That going into the 3rd preseason game, everyone for the most part is healthy. And
Kirk going through, but he'll be good.
And Christian Kirk is he sat out this past weekend, and he'll sit out again Friday night against the Falcons with a little bit of that calf tightness, soreness. And Beathard won't play Saturday or Friday night. And so that's all really good news. And I think the biggest takeaway for me in watching the first 2 preseason games are the Jaguars' backups are better than the other team's backups. And that means that the roster 1 through 53 is going to be even better than it's been in the past. Trevor said that this is the most talented team that he's had. I now, after watching the first 2 preseason games, I think that's true. I think it's really hard to make this 53-man roster. And once again, we got to see good special teams for the Jaguars as well. Cam Little, I just read Jordan DeLigo tweeted out he made all of his kicks in practice, and excited to see what he can do for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, we heard Doug last week on the second day of those joint practices talking about how this is the hardest here in Jacksonville that these cuts have been, and kind of figuring out what this 53-man roster will look like. But he even kind of alluded to one of the more difficult in his career, being able to have these cuts broken down and deciding who makes this, because there is so much talent when it comes to those deeper pieces. And I think that, like you said, Lauren, it's a very positive thing, because there's been years here where the starters wouldn't start on other rosters. And now you have depth pieces that would start on other rosters around the league.
Which is why this idea of panic about, Trevor, we don't know who's going to be in front of him, whether it's the offensive line or wide receiver. If we're going to have this argument that the depth is greater than it's ever been, why is there suddenly this concern then about who's in front of him?
I am concerned about the line. I think that's the one that behind the starters I'm the most concerned about. And it's kind of flipped. I've had my questions about the offensive line during this offseason, but I was more concerned about that opposite Tyson and some of the defensive backs and what that's going to look. I feel like I've been very calmed when it comes to that because so many guys have been making plays on that side of the ball. But there are moments where when the starters are not on the offensive line, it looks rough and it is scary. I don't want to lose Mitch Morse. If we lose Mitch Morse, I'm highly concerned.
The backup offensive linemen, I think some have played well, others haven't, and you can't just take one play. Of course, everyone's talking about the Luke Fortner one that's online, but I heard Baselli this morning on the drill say that you don't have to worry. That was just one play. You can't only look at the one miss, right? Like Brandon Sheriff last year allowed 2 sacks, but we all know he didn't have a great season. Right? Yeah. And so overall, the offensive line, I think, is still the biggest concern, and there's a reason that they did bring in Mitch Morse, certainly, but did they do enough? That's what we'll find out. Well, speaking of the offensive line, Mia, you also caught up with Anton Harrison. Is there any food in this conversation?
There is food. You're going to want to stick around till the end, folks. Tone's Food Takes coming at you, as well as some insight on the Jaguars' performance on Saturday.
How did it feel to get out there for a couple of plays?
I feel great to be back out there 100%, get back out there with the guys and get going.
You feel like you're back at 100%?
Definitely.
Do you need a game like this one to kind of settle your pads and you start getting ready for the regular season?
Yeah, because I want to be back out there. I had no problem with getting out there with whoever was on the field, but I feel like I was 100% with it without it.
Walk us through that one block where you knocked over 2 guys. That one's going viral on Twitter right now.
I got mine and then I seen more, so I tried to finish and just keep going. So I tried to take as many as I could.
How would you evaluate the offensive line as a whole tonight?
I feel like we played pretty good. We fought. We knew they was going to blitz a lot, just with the joint practice we had this week. I feel like everybody just played to their best.
How different do you feel at this point now than maybe you did this point last year?
It's a whole 360. I mean, not a whole flip. I'm going to say 180. Just confidence, just knowing what I'm coming into, knowing what I got to do, knowing what I did last year, trying to improve it. So I say it's a huge difference.
What have you seen from some of those younger offensive linemen?
Kind of see a little how I came in, just a little timid. But I tell them all the time, just trust what you did to get here. Just keep doing that. And that's what I had to do last year, and that got me to where I am now, just feeling confident in myself, knowing I compete with the best. So I kind of tell them the same thing, and they go out there and do their thing.
Javon played a little bit of right, a little bit of left. That's obviously, something with you playing left in college, now playing right in the NFL. How difficult is it, and how have you maybe coached him a little bit?
It's very difficult. Just left, right, especially in the same game. But Vaughn is somebody that we know they can do it. He does it all the time in practice. No drop off on either side. Really just trusting your craft, trusting your technique on either side, and then I know he can get the job done.
You came in with Tank last year. I know he's your friend. What does it mean to see him doing what he's doing this preseason?
It's a lot. It means a lot. We talked all the time. After every game, we actually live in the same neighborhood, so we talk all the time. I knew, last year he was down on himself a little bit, but he knew and I knew what he can do, so he made it a promise that he was going to do that this year. He's already showing it.
What do you think he's proven so far?
Just the type of back he is. He actually faster than I thought he was. He's trying to show everybody that he got the power, but he got the speed too. So when he got his head right, he one of the best.
What's Mac like in the huddle?
He's a funny dude, good dude. We all love him. He just keep our spirits up. We tired, he gonna make a joke, make us all laugh, and just keep going. We love him. He's a good dude.
Is it helpful to have a guy like that can kind of...
It definitely does.
All right, before we let you go, Ton, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, what's the deal with biscuits?
See, I ain't really grow up a biscuit or cornbread person.
You're from the DMV. I'm not going to judge you for that. That's fine. That's all good.
I just feel like there's nothing to it. It's like watermelon. There's nothing to it. It's not my thing. Biscuits and corned gravy too dry for me. People say I be eating the wrong kind. It just don't be it. It's just, I don't know.
You're killing me with the watermelon hate, bro.
You like watermelon?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
see, I don't know. I'm not a watermelon guy. That's overrated to me.
Fair enough.
See, it's different though. I like watermelon flavor stuff. So like,
it's sweeter.
Yeah, watermelon, medicine, and
You're all about the orange slices after halftime as a kid growing
cool.
up. Okay.
That's good.
All right, no watermelon though. I was the opposite, so I didn't eat the oranges. So awesome, perfect. Thanks. As much as we love Tone's food takes, which by the way, I asked him, I'm like, do you have somebody making those graphics? Or he's like, no, just whenever anybody makes them and they send them to me, I use them. I keep them in a little folder on my phone. So if you make some graphics and want to send them Anton's way, I think he will use them. So and he will credit you. So make sure you do that. As much as we have fun with that, number one, the coming out of his shell that we've been lamenting about Brian Thomas Jr. and really hitting home during training camp. Anton was a pretty shy guy when he first got here. 21 years old, just like Brian. Like, where he is now, how comfortable he is, both in the locker room with the media, with his teammates, being a leader. You hear him on the sidelines, Lauren. He's so much more vocal than he was this time a year ago. That gives me hope for his future. But I really like what 309 on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures just texted in. And this kind of leads into part two of what I believe is the biggest takeaway from Anton Harrison on Saturday. Anton was excellent at pass pro last season, at least by rookie standards. His run blocking was subpar. That play Saturday night made me feel like he knows that, and he is working on his deficiencies. It's the kind of maturity that can make a guy into a really good player.
Yeah,
good
I love
stuff.
it.
Yeah, Javon Foster, I thought did struggle.
Yeah,
in
progressively.
Yeah.
I think he started out and it was okay, all right, that's something, and then it just progressively got worse to the point about the offensive line. Taylor, I do think it's important to note that Javon Foster, technically, if you look at the depth chart, is listed at right tackle. Cole Van Lanen is left tackle. And it was very much a shuffle, not necessarily guys who are familiar with each other along that offensive front or necessarily most familiar with the position they were playing.
I was about to say, I should probably specify, I'm not worried about the tackles. I'm worried about the interior.
Okay.
Mainly the guards. And if Mitch is there, I'm confident. If Mitch is, something happens, I'm concerned. But to me, it's the guards that I'm more concerned about.
Yeah.
Depth-wise.
Yeah, that's going to be the
depth-wise for sure.
Yeah. Right. That's going to be the thing week one that we watch is that interior of the offensive line and the run game. And does Mitch Morse make the guards better because he's there and they can all trust each other? Maybe they couldn't trust Luke. Or is it simply something where they were really banged up? Ezra had the injury when he got here. Brandon Sheriff dealt with multiple injuries last season. Probably never was 100% early in the season.
After week one.
Yeah.
Him and Luke Fortner both had injuries after week one.
That's the important part, too, though. You got to be healthy and be on the field or you're kind of screwing everything, and that's part of the problem the last year. I wonder if people ask Anton if he likes pancakes, because he sure likes them on the field. He was pancaking everybody.
Maybe we ask him that. I think he meets with the media on Wednesday on the field. So
that's how he feels about pancakes.
Yeah, listen, he's always down for his food takes. And again, I as much as, yes, we laugh and jest about it, I think it is him coming out of his shell a little bit and also, embracing the fact that he's kind of almost approaching veteran territory at this point.
From food takes with Ton to checking in with XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers, the exclusive provider of BioTarget regenerative therapy for pain. Visit GoBioTarget.com for a location near you.
Did you like the food in the press box Saturday night? We'll get a food take with Joe.
I guess I got to the end of the, what do they call them? The
grits?
I love the grits,
okay.
But I think it was like Trailer Park Tater Tots or something. I have no idea what they were.
It was not Trailer Park. It was Truck Stop.
They were good.
Truck Stop Tater
There you go. I was trying to remember what it was. But it was appropriate. Listen, whatever the name of it was, Trailer Park or Truck Stop, they both kind of fall in the same category. But I loved them. So they were good. Anyway, I like the grits with the andouille in there. Anyway,
I said earlier to Taylor it was andouille sausage with cheese grits. And she was like, Dewey has his own brand of sausage?
She said andouille is sausage. I was like, oh, that's new.
Yeah, a new line from him. He's just sitting on the sidelines making sausage links. But it was good. It was good. So I will take it all day.
Yes, I thought it was much better week 2 versus week 1. What did you think about Mac Jones?
Well, I think you have to feel really good about if anything goes wrong. And I don't think anytime something goes wrong, you ever really feel good. But this is just that's that, quote, silver lining. He looks good. He's making throws down the field, accurate. In training camp, he was making his share of mistakes. He'd throw it to the wrong guy, and it looked like so obvious. And he just is cleaning those things up. C.J. Beathard, certainly not the same guy. So having Mac, it's so funny, at the end of last week when the injury to J.J. McCarthy took place, we said, what if Mac would get on the trading block, and would it be worth it and all that kind of stuff? That's all out the window. Just forget about it because of the groin for C.J., the play of Mac. You now have a luxury instead of a liability.
Are you keeping 3 quarterbacks on your 53?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
And I guess I've had this discussion. I did it with a few fans over the weekend, and I'm like, I just don't see it as a practical thing right now because you really have to make sure how deep that wide receiver room, how many secondary stars, what do you have in terms of backups to Walker and Hines Allen? You got to make sure you got all those things taken care of. So, no, I would not carry more than 2.
Got to keep Sezi Otomewehu, right?
He's played well.
Since we've learned his last name, and now he has, 2.5 sacks through the first 2 preseason games?
Well, they got to keep him.
Yeah.
I mean, you might, and that's where you can't keep a third quarterback in order to keep someone like that. Not saying it's definitely him.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of guys, and I call it the butt end of the roster with respect. There's a lot of guys that are really trying hard. My man, training camp Trammell, made a play. And so there are guys that are trying to fit in the 53. It's not going to be easy at all.
No, not at all. What's coming up?
Well, we're definitely going to do a lot looking back at that game, looking at a handful of the other games. There's definitely some storylines weaved through the quarterbacks in preseason football so far. But now we're just going to start XLP's Big 3, just laying out college football, saucy nugs, day in, day out, as we're getting closer to FSU and Georgia Tech. Florida and Miami, all the other big games. So we'll have fun with that all week long.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe. We'll be listening.
All right, y'all.
This Saturday, we have Florida State, Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's wild, honestly. Football is full on here at this point. This weekend.
There was a brief moment on Saturday morning where I thought about it, and I was like, wow, college game day will be on at this hour 1 week from now, which is wild to think. Folks, as much as we have an expanded playoff, it's only, 16, 17 weeks out of the year? Cherish it.
Yes.
Cherish these 16, 17 Saturdays.
Somebody on the text line sent us in a pancake song. They said, y'all have to check out this pancake song. My daughter and I used to sing and dance to it all the time. Like, maybe that can be a
theme
Anton's
song.
I like that. My cousin headed over to Ireland, so she'll be in Dublin for Florida State, Georgia Tech. All right, that's going to do it for us. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next.
Boots are gonna walk all over you. Yeah. You keep